we're always going up cringe mountain. And then like, you know what, that's imposter syndrome. That's like, I'm not worthy of this attention, getting to speak or getting to be a guest on a podcast. Those voices get in your head. Like, who am I? I learned like probably like in the last 2 or 3 years that anytime I talk about coming out or being gay, I can see that day I lost some followers. But I also learned that that's okay.
Right, because they aren't your people.
So they're never gonna like be a part of my life. The more and more I do share, the more and more I am attracting the people that I want to attract and have conversations with and be in my community. Or it's like your vibe attracts your tribe. I would say like the past 2 years, about 80% of my business has come from pitching to. I think we can celebrate going viral, like that's fun to celebrate, but that should never be the goal.
20 million views on your dog video is not going to help you sell real estate. Okay, get ready, Clever Crew, because today's guest is holding nothing back. Andrew Jevin is a social media coach, content creator, and realtor out of LA who has sold $130 million in real estate through social media. He's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and is now on a mission to help entrepreneurs find their authentic voice and show up online with confidence. Andrew's known for his high energy and fearless approach to content creation, and today we get to talk to him about building community, getting comfortable with vulnerability, and climbing cringe mountain. So let's welcome to the show, Andrew Jevin.
Well, welcome, Andrew, to Not Nice Clever. We're so excited. We can't wait for the Clever Crew. You guys listening in and watching on YouTube. Andrew is such a light already. We actually already started talking about things we were supposed to talk about in the episode before we hopped on. And then our producer, Corinne, was like, guys, save it for the show. So we are here. You're here, Andrew. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Thank you both for having me.
Yeah. So like many entrepreneurs, like many of our Clever Crew, we wear a lot of hats. We wear a lot of names. Sometimes answering the question of who are you? What do you do is very complicated. So you're a realtor, social media coach, content creator. You know, for those listening in and just hearing you for the first time, how would you describe yourself in like one sentence? Like what's Andrew's pitch?
Oh my God. I don't like to start off with that I'm a real estate agent because like I'm not just a real estate agent. Like I'm a lot of things, just like we all are. I would say I'm a content creator, real estate agent, and the past 5 years stumbled upon being a coach. And I don't really know how that happened. But now it's happened and I've owned it. I've stepped into it. I've embraced it. And it's been a really rewarding. It's very rewarding to, I mean, as both of you know, to help agents start getting to realize like they can be themselves. So I'm just a feel good person. That's what I am. Like, that's what I am.
I can sense that. Candace and I can totally sense that.
Love your vibe, Andrew. And I completely agree. Like, it is so rewarding. I always say I live for that light bulb moment when someone realizes that they can, realize that what's possible for them, starts to get the hint of success that they've been wanting. That's what I live for. And like, if I didn't, have to pay money to eat and live, I would just be able to be so happy off of collecting light bulb moments.
Yeah. And getting to see that, I think is like, I mean, it's gratifying getting keys to like a first time home buyer. Like I get a good feeling. I don't get as good of a feeling as I get when I see like somebody just get to be themselves for the first time. And like, that could be like they're 60 years old and they've never been themselves yet in their life. And like, I mean, I think we all go through something where we're not ourselves. And it could be like all our life. It could be, for like the high school years, the college years, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s now, of like where we're at times not ourselves. So to get like, to help people like have a safe place is just such a powerful, like until you're on the other side of it, you don't really know how great that feeling is.
Yeah. Authenticity. That's, it's been somewhat of a buzzword, but how you described it and just like honoring the fact that sometimes people don't have that supportive space, that safe space to be themselves. We at Not Nice Clever, Candace and I love being walking permission slips for people, saying that you can do the thing, you can speak up, you can have big goals, you can want to make money and not feel weird about it, you can make an impact and not think, why me? Like Not to say that imposter syndrome doesn't crop up every now and again for Candace and I. Like I think that's something that you were talking about too earlier. It's just like it doesn't matter how far along in your journey. It still kind of pops up here and there.
Oh yeah, like I call it a cringe mountain. And it's like we're always going up cringe mountain. And then like, you know what, that's imposter syndrome. That's like I'm not worthy of this attention, or I'm not worthy of getting to speak on, or getting to be a guest on a podcast. Like all those voices get in your head. Like, who am I to be telling people what they should do on Instagram? Then like all of a sudden, like you start going over cringe mountain and it's like confident, and like people come up to you and say that you said something that changed the way that they think. And I'm like, oh my God, like I feel so good. I'm on top of the world. And then all of a sudden, like you hear one person will say one thing, and then that just sets you right back on cringe, like, and you're going right back up cringe mountain. And like I always tell people, I'm like, it just gets a little bit better each time, but like cringe mountain is always there.
It it's like you're building a muscle though, so each, like, little comment is you're stronger, so you can handle it a little bit more, but it's gonna happen still.
Oh yeah, I think like you bounce back a little bit stronger each time, but like just when you think you got it down, you'll hear one like, or you'll like somebody will leave a comment and you're like, oh, okay. And then you get in your head, and like it like prevents you, like, "Oh, I'm guilty of it." Then like I won't post for like a week. And I'm like, I'm letting that one comment that somebody made affect my whole week now of showing up as who I am. And like so like it never goes away. I just think, like you said, it just gets easier and the muscle gets worked.
To me, the funny part is that usually the people that are talking shit are friends and family, people who knew you before because they're like, "Who does he think he is?" Because they remember you from 5 years ago or from high school or from whatever.
And like I've been in real estate. I'm now doing on my 10th year. And before that, I was like, an inspiring actor, waiting tables in Los Angeles. So everybody, all my friends know me as, a little crazy. I mean, I still am kind of crazy. But just like, you know, but like now, like to see, and I think a lot of my friends, I will say most of my friends, like are just so proud of me. And they will say like, oh my God, like it's actually other agents for me that I get more of that those comments from. I am like, I guess, a lucky guy. I don't guess. I know I am. I am a lucky guy when it comes to my friends. Like my friends are so like, whoa, like Andrew, like you completely changed. And I think it took my dad dying, like I was stroked 10, 11 years ago. And it kind of like flipped the switch in my life. Like I was like 30, like 31 maybe. And I think that just like flipped everything for me on so many levels. And so now it's like the only hate, or the mean stuff actually comes from other agents within real estate. So it's funny. It's like I just like have learned over the years to like not let, like, to just keep going. And like I'm right now in this like last year, like this era to call it, of like making sure that I'm in rooms that like I need to be in, or I'm connected with people of rooms that I need to get in. And like I'm like taking no prisoners. Is that a saying? Yeah. I don't know. Saying, is that the saying? Like I'm like literally like gonna be in every room, and like if I wanted to speak at Inman next year, and now I am in January.
Congratulations. Amazing.
And like I was like, I want to be on Inman. And like this was like 2 months ago. And I texted Holly Meyer Lucas. She's in Florida, Compass agent, fellow Compass agent, and really good friend of mine. And she's going to be speaking at the social summit. And I said, how do I get it? I just want to, like, one of my goals that I want to check off is just, I don't really want to speak. I want to be on a panel. I like panels more than speaking, because I think like most agents just like know what they want to say on a panel. I'm like, I literally don't know what I'm going to say. So I feel like afterwards, people like kind of come up to me and be like, oh my God, I like what you said. And it's like, because I don't plan anything. I just respond to what the conversation. So, yeah, I was like, I'm going to speak. And then sure enough, I was like, our CEO, Robert Refkin, does like a Shabbat dinner every Friday night at his house. And they asked me to be there, like what date I wanted to come. And I'm like, January 24th. I said, that's the week of Inman. I'm going to be speaking. I'm telling you, I just know it. And I didn't know it at the time. And they said, okay, we'll put you down for that day. And then I was on the train going from Philly to New York, to the Compass office in New York. And I got a text from Holly saying, we're officially on a panel. Congrats. Um, it's going to happen. And I was like, wow, it's like, it's just like manifesting. And like, putting it out there and like, I'm going to do this stuff and owning that and being like, I deserve this success and I deserve to be on that stage and share my story. Um, is like kind of like a saying that I have to start saying in my head more and more.
So clever crew, what I'm hearing is you have to be vulnerable and put yourself out there and you have to ask to be featured sometimes. That's how things happen. People don't always come knocking on your door being like, "Oh my god, we want you to speak on our panel." But if you put yourself in front of them enough times, they're going to eventually say yes, right? They might even say yes the first time and totally surprise you. So put yourself out there. I just got off a coaching call where I had this exact same conversation. Someone is going to a Mike Ferry conference and they're like, "You want me to ask Mike to speak?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" Like, what's going to happen? You can send an email. It's fine, you know? The only thing you're not speaking today. So if he says no, we're in the same situation we are right now. And now they've seen your name, right? And it's the beginning.
Yep, 100%. And I think like that's what I've learned over like specifically like the last 5 years is just getting myself out there and providing value and not expecting anything back from it. And it's like if you go in like that, like it kind of comes back tenfold every time you do that. But I think it's like real estate agents specifically have a hard time because it's like, what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of this? Like referrals, or it's like, don't do that. Just go in and just like be you. And what can you bring to a group of people or to a conversation? What can you bring instead of thinking of like, I just think it's so like short sighted of like, what am I going to get business wise? And it's like, it's not about.
Totally. Andrew, when you work with your clients, specifically when you're coaching them in social media, how do you help them? Is there exercises or a process to help them find their authentic voice? Because I think that's where a lot of people struggle. Like they are still kind of wondering, like, who am I? Or even who do I want to be? How do you help with that?
You know, it's a tough one and it's always changing, I think, because like each person has their own insecurities. Like I have to, and like I think the easiest thing is just to start talking on your Instagram stories, with no filter. Take the filter off, like look at yourself. And like to do that, I think you got to start looking at yourself in the mirror. And I realize that people don't like to look at themselves in the mirror.
Because you see yourself on your Instagram story, but you could be avoiding looking at yourself for most of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Or hearing like for me, I always had I struggle with my voice, hearing like my actual, I'm like, I'm gay, so I can say this. You sound so gay. And I'm like, Andrew, like deepen your voice, like sound like a man. And like that was the narrative in my head for so long. I felt a couple of years ago that was keeping me back from talking on my stories was that like I didn't want to sound so gay. And it's like then you like it takes you back into like high school or like something in your youth of like, oh shit, I got some stuff I gotta work on. And like I think owning that. And then like this past year was like I gained weight. And I was like, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't making reels, even though I knew why. And it was like, because I looked, you know, 20, like probably 30 pounds heavier since the beginning of COVID. And I knew that was keeping me. So like I got on trizipatide, like Monjaro, like Ozempic. And like I'm not afraid to talk about it because I think like people need to talk about this stuff. Like, and there's no shame in it. I needed help. Like I'm like pre-diabetic. I was like, I got like this my blood results and like it was like pre-diabetic and all this stuff. And I'm like, if I don't start making changes now, like I'm not gonna live.
Yeah. And that goes to not feeling good about yourself will keep you from showing up for yourself. And I love that you got help and sought expert advice on like how to get better because obviously, we don't want you to get diabetes. So we're glad that you went to the doctor. We're glad that you figured out the things, but some people are afraid to even take those steps, Andrew, to like know that they're not feeling well and then not seeking support. And then you're in this endless cycle, right? And so if you are the person who's not pushing record because you don't feel good about yourself, like I challenge you to figure out what's not feeling good and what resources exist in this world to help you feel better. And there's going to be ebbs and flows in your life, but there's a lot of things that might be super helpful. Like Taya came on here and talked all about how she went to therapy and it like totally has shifted everything in her life and showing up more and differently and talking about different things. And, there's a lot of resources for you to feel better about your life, and you shouldn't just be going through life coasting and feeling bad anyways. So,
Exactly. Like we only get one life. Like that's I think one thing I really realized over the past few years is like I'm now like comfortable in my skin. Like I want to embrace this life because we only have one. So like take the trip, go to dinner with the friends. Like because like I've listened to you guys before. I listened to you a lot. And I love like how you're both like introverts. I think that's actually what got me into reeled into your podcast was learning about that you guys are introverts because I'm a big like everybody thinks I'm so like outgoing, but I really just want to like sit at home and like not leave the house.
See, nobody believes me. Like Mondays are my CEO days, but I'm on the couch being a CEO.
Same. Like even like I had my last holiday dinner was on Tuesday night, this past Tuesday, and I said, I'm done. Like for 3 weeks, like I'm going in hibernation mode. And I'm like so excited. I'm not even going home to Philly this year. I'm staying here. I'm just gonna shut down for a little bit because like what we do, just being so having so many different hats always spinning. Like I need a few weeks where it's like I know it's gonna be kind of quiet. I'm gonna embrace that for once.
Amen. Yeah. I know. It's the season of holiday parties or the season of events or whatever season it is, it's like it's so important to take time to recharge. And one of my like personal mantras is everything is an inside job. And I love that you were talking about how like, your issue with not hitting the record button or your issue with not showing up on Reels has nothing to do with the algorithm or has nothing to do with Instagram, has nothing to do with any of that bullshit. It is what do you see in the mirror? How are you feeling about yourself? And, thank you for sharing about, losing your dad at such a young age. Like my dad was older when I was born. And so I think about that often, like he's in his 70s now. And it's this reminder that like we have so much time in the world, but we have like no time in the world. So like, why wait? Like why wait?
And your life kind of like literally changed like in a split second. Like I mean, my dad died of a stroke, so like 2 weeks after Christmas. So like I was with him for like thank God I went home that year for like 2 or 3 weeks. So I had no like woulda, shoulda, couldas because like we were just like I had a couple of years before that came out finally like so like and he loved me for who I was like there was like no like even I felt guilty that I didn't feel in some sort of feeling and my therapist was like Andrew you don't have the woulda, shoulda, couldas with your dad so many people she's like come in here and they're like I wish I would have said this to him I wish we would have done this and she's like in that last year that your dad was alive before the stroke like you guys did do all that stuff he came out to California for the first time like
he like saw you and you were vulnerable with him. Yeah.
yes. So, like, I mean, that was like the struggle I had was just like I used to talk to him every day. So like to not be able to talk to him every day like was like and like I'm like you're 61 years old. How do you die at 61? And like I'm 31 and I have nothing now. But it's like it made me definitely like grow up. Probably I mean I should have grown up by 31, but we're in Los Angeles, so it takes a little bit longer on the coast. But I think, yeah, it definitely, made me grow up and like kind of be the man of the family and like make the decisions and start doing things that I never thought that I would have to do or like want to do.
So one question that our Clever Crew asks a lot, it even comes up in coaching sessions, and I'm curious if it comes up in your coaching sessions, Andrew, is, we know people crave authenticity and crave, being vulnerable so that we can build trust with one another. But the question that pops up or the fear that pops up is, well, what if I share too much? Or when should I share it? Or how should I share it? How do I not overshare and be that cringy person? Not cringe mountain, because we want you to climb cringe mountain. What's your advice? What's the frame of mind, you have or that you share with your clients?
I learned like probably like in the last 2 or 3 years that the more vulnerable I am, yes, I may lose. Like anytime I talk about coming out or being gay, I can see that day I lost some followers. But I also learned that that's okay. I mean, it's not okay for them to. I feel like that,
Right.
but
'Cause they aren't your people.
they're exactly like they're not my people, so they're never gonna like be a part of my life. So why have them follow me? Like I don't need them, right? So I think that that was a big one for me over the last few years of seeing that. But then like knowing, but the more and more I do share, the more and more I am attracting the people that I want to attract and have conversations with and be in my community, or people that like I'll talk, like if they call and like in a panic of something, like I'll talk to them right away because like I want to help them. Like so I feel like like it's like your vibe attracts your tribe. Like the more and more you share, and like I don't think like I need to share every single thing that happens. It's like this isn't like Facebook, like back in the day of like status up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And talking about ourselves in the third person, oh my God, when I see those, I'm like, delete, 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 delete. It's so bad. From 2009, I'm like, nope.
Oh my god! And they'll like come up and be like, I'm like, oh my god, I was so emo. I was emo. I was in my feels. Live journal. I feel like found my live journal. Oh my god! Like literally, like when I was like 22 years old.
Oh, I had the presence of mind to scrub mine and then delete my account because, like, holy Candace, did you ever have a live journal?
No, I did not.
I wrote a lot as a form of therapy as an adolescent and a preteen. So I found Live Journal was an online journaling and writing community. And so you could share prompts, you could share stories, and it was just like a creative outlet. But like sometimes it's like a digital diary that was public.
That was public. Wow.
Yeah, I know. You could make it private, it's like, but your friends could read it, but you could let your friends read your digital diary. Like that's basically what Live Journal was. Oh, that's a blast from the past.
And like you would like I would say things that I knew like my roommate was reading it.
It was good for introversion because you could like work through things like truly. Like I was very conflict avoidant as a teen. And so I don't know how you were, Andrew, but that,
Oh yeah, 100. I still am. I'm like I do not like confrontation.
oh man, what a blast from the past. I've not thought about LiveJournal in probably 10 years. Wow. Now we have everybody taken to Google and they're like, what is LiveJournal? And we're like, okay, we're old.
I know they're like trying to find your guys' ones right now. They're like, hmm.
Good luck, y'all. I scrubbed everything. I went Scorpio on that and I like scrubbed it like a detective. I would have made you proud, Candace.
That was smart. That was smart.
What a tangent. Where are we going back? Yeah, let's switch gears, Candace.
Okay, so switching gears, y'all. Yeah, I mean, kind of in the same thread of like sharing on social media. I think that's like, pre-social media, that's what it was, like sharing who you are and your thoughts, right? Um, but we all know that social media is a long game, and so many people are looking for the magic pill, the secret sauce. They're looking for the overnight virality that everyone talks about. But can you share with the Clever Crew how you've actually seen your business change by using social media? Like what specifically has changed in your business? And then the other question, the follow up to that is like, have you specifically developed any kind of tracking system for that?
Great. Yeah. I actually I don't like getting too I think we can celebrate going viral. Like that's fun to celebrate, but that should never be the goal. I think going viral actually could be a disservice for your business because you could go viral and get, 20 million views, but
20 million views on your dog video is not going to help you sell real estate.
it's not forming a connection. So like I hate when agents get that metric so much in their head. Um, but I also think like, you want to get in front of people. Yeah. So big for me is the agent to agent referral has been huge because I make sure that I want like Tay and I were talking last night because you like she got annoyed with like a reel that she made and like all these agents like started giving her hate on it, but like she's like my content isn't for real estate agents, it's for buyers and sellers. But as they say, I was like, you forget that like a lot of people they think it's for you. And like, so we both have a lot of real estate agents that follow us. So, but I actually have taken that, I've embraced it. So like, I want every agent that follows me to know that I'm an agent in Los Angeles. So when they think of a real estate agent that's going to help like their cousin that's moving to LA, I don't want to be the only person that they can think of, but I want to be like at least in like of 5 agents that somebody thinks of within Compass or non-Compass. So like it's just me showing like going out to eat on my stories is a big one. Like just like like letting people know where I am. So like I would say like the past 2 years, about 80% of my business has come from agent to agent referrals.
Wow. That's that's huge.
That is huge.
Like in 2022 is when I really noticed it. That was like I sold almost 30 million in 2022, which was like my best. I'm a solo agent, and most of it came from agent to agent referral. So I think like agents don't understand like that you want to get the support from other agents because it's really great for that referral. I think it also what it does is like it shows to me it shows like my friends and my sphere of influence that's non-real estate agents when they see that I'm, at the Compass Retreat or I'm at Inman, they see that I'm like very dialed in and connected with agents around the country. So now it's like, my friends like, oh, we need to sell my dad's house in Nevada. I think it was like in Reno. Is that Reno in Nevada? Yeah. Reno. And it was like, I know Andrew, like I know you know agents everywhere. Like, do you have an agent that can help? And I was like, sure do. Here's 3 contacts. Let me know which one you like. Um, so like, it's like I think that that's what's so great about social media is that whole agent to agent referral. And I think like when you're recommended to something like and referred to a client, to a buyer or a seller, like they by like a good friend of theirs, like all of a sudden like that trust is already there kind of.
This is for everyone who says, "Ugh, every time I make a reel, only real estate agents follow me. I hate that."
Yeah. So like, cause I remember like years ago, this was like, God, 7, 8 years ago that I used to do like the Zillow Premier Agent stuff. But like, it was really hard for me to convert those people, those calls. And then like even meeting them in person for a showing, it was really hard for me to convert them to clients. Like it was very strange and awkward. And like, I hated it. I'm like, you sign the year contract. So I'm like, I cannot wait for this year to be up. Like, because it's just, it felt like it's just not how it was not natural at all to me, for me. And it works, and some agents have that dialed down. Like mad props,
It's like built in, yeah. Transferable trust, that's what I call it. Like my friend trusts you, I'm gonna trust you.
and they're very good with systems. I think too. Like you have to be good with like that kind of stuff. And like I'm more of a feeler and an emotional person. I've learned. So I kind of like go back on emotion of working when I'm working with a client. So uh, yeah, that's the answer to that first question is the agent to agent referrals, the big one. And then also just like being out in your like in local, like LA. I mean, I think we have like the most populated county in the country. But when you really think of like Los Angeles, like it's like kind of a small town, like in the entertainment industry and like, where I live, West Hollywood, like and in West Hollywood, Santa Monica, like it actually is a small area where like you do run into people and like I've lived here now, it's gonna be 20 years in April. So like you do know, like and that to me, like mixed with social media, like, that's the best combination of like, "Oh my god, you're out, like, I saw that you were there last night, I'm going tomorrow night, like, what should I get to eat?" And it's like, it just opens up conversations, but, like, if you don't share a little bit about what you do, then you're not gonna have those conversations to begin with. It's crazy though, like, I mean, 'cause I like, when I go around the country, like, sometimes and I'll do, like, these workshops, and, like, agents will be like, "Well, why does anybody care about, like, what I had for dinner?" I was like, I love, like, when people travel, like, that's how I found out about the Maldives was because of the travel content. Like, any restaurant like, I was just in the South of France a couple months ago, and legit, like, people, like I said, like, "Going to the South of France, any recommendations?" And, like, I got, like, so many, and, like, that's what's so great about it, is, like, it's not the real estate stuff that connects people, but, like, people know I'm an agent, like, I don't have to remind them, they know I am. I slide that in, but it's my a lot of my content is just kinda me. I'm the brand. I'm a real estate agent. Now I'm also like, so because like I learned a couple of years ago, like you want multiple income streams. That has saved me during COVID. Like in the beginning of COVID, I was like, okay, we can't go leave the house. I was like, I'll do this. I have an online course and I'll get money that way. So like I'll figure it. I'll adapt.
One of my favorite stories to tell, I tell this story on stage all the time. I've probably told it on Not Nice Clever too, but is when I got an air fryer and Amazon delivered it. It was a Friday. I opened up the box and I realized that it said fry yay on it on the air fryer. I was like, oh, it's Friday, fry yay. I'm gonna make a story about this. So I was like, hey guys, I'm 40 and things that excite me are air fryers. something along those lines, right? And so I got an air fryer. Tell me what I should make in the air fryer because I've never had one before, right? And I just did a little question box and people DM'd me with like, oh, whatever, try a chicken wing, try this, try this recipe. They dropped recipes. Cool. I like to cook, so it was like fun for me. And then I responded to every person who responded to me. I said, ooh, sounds good. Gonna try that. Thank you. Just a polite response to everyone, right? And then one of the girls was like, oh, yeah, definitely try that. And by the way, Candace, I've been meaning to talk to you. Oh, have you? And then she hired me and I made thousands and thousands of dollars because I posted about my air fryer, which has nothing to do with any of my businesses. But it was an easy, non-threatening entry point to a conversation with me that we hadn't engaged in before.
And you automatically just become top of mind. You just become top of mind, but you got to put yourself out there to do that. Like you could have very easily have said like, "Who cares about like I just got an air fryer?" Like but like you don't realize that like people are just scrolling nonstop. Like as of like we're in airports, I like the grocery store anytime. Like people like even when they're at dinner, which is crazy to me. Like everybody's scrolling.
And people want to help you. That like since being pregnant too, like I'm first time mom. I don't know anything. And so I ask for everything like, what do I need to buy? What do I what do I pack in my hospital bag? What do I need for a nursery? Like, tell me your favorite things. Like, what was your favorite recliner for the nurse? I don't know, just ask everything. And people are so excited to tell me the things that they loved, the things that they tried and hated. Like, they want to be helpful. And so let them, but do it authentically, not with a this or that in your feed, real estate agents. Oh my god, please. But if it's authentic, if I'm really looking for what's the best paint color for my nursery, like, please tell me, is it Benjamin Moore or Sherwin Williams, and which shade is it and why? You know?
Yep. Yeah, like everybody has an opinion and people love to give them, but agents are too scared to ask for an opinion because they're too scared. They don't want to put themselves out there to then have something negative happen or think that something negative is going to happen. But I'm like, and nothing happens. And it's like, well, what's better than nothing?
And then they're like, social's not working. And I'm like, you're not working. You stopped being human. You stopped being human.
It's not a magic pill. Like, I mean, I've been doing this on Instagram for my business when I started on Snapchat and I was the snapping realtor. And like I would go out on Snapchat and like I remember this was in 2014.
And Eric from Broke Agent. Yeah.
Yep, yep. So Eric actually used to live down the street from me in Santa Monica. So I like he used to have all kinds of merch, and it would say like wine, beer, real estate, like, and I would like, and he would instead of sending it to me, he'd just like drive over and drop it off, and like I would run outside, and he'd give me all these shirts. I'd start wearing them, and like I told him, I'm like, bring back the merch. I miss the merch. Um, but like I would just go out. Like I remember I was with Keller Williams at the time, and it was like the Ignite training program, and the productivity coach was like, okay, now you're going to go through your phone, through your contacts, and you're going to start calling everybody and letting them know you just got into real estate. And like I panicked and I was like, nobody's going to answer. This is so weird. Like, why would I be calling someone on a Tuesday at 10? They're at work.
Yeah. We're millennials. We don't answer the phone. Send us a fucking text message.
This is weird. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. And like she sat there and made me call. And like nobody would answer, but then they would text me and be like, hey, Andrew, is everything okay? I'm like, yes, long story. We'll talk about it. Yeah, I'll talk about it later. But then the next week I went on, I was like, I'm gonna go outside and make my calls. It's too loud in here. And I would just go on Snapchat. And I was getting immediate responses back, like, they're all like, we can't afford LA right now, but when the time comes, we're gonna use you. But like, and then I would go out on Broker's Caravan and start like snapping homes. And this was before Instagram stories. So like once Instagram stories came out, I kind of like, and like, I want to say Snapchat died because some of my friends work at Snap, but like that's why I love Instagram so much. It's like, I don't love TikTok. It's like I like being on there as a consumer, but I don't like it's. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, the tool matters so much less than the fact that you're building a personal brand and you're putting out content somewhere consistently. I don't care if you use LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Like, yes, use some tool in our arsenal of tools to help you build your personal brand. And that is so key. And it could be the one that you feel the most comfortable with and the one you feel the least resistance to. And as you build up the confidence in that platform, and as you feel like you're starting to see results, you'll probably be inspired to try another one eventually, you know?
Yeah. And that's like, I can't even imagine, like now, like I'm like, I can't imagine my life without Instagram because I have set such good boundaries with it. Like I don't have anything negative to say about it. Like, my algorithm's great because it's like things I want to see. Like it's the things I want to look at. So like it is on the positive side of things.
Do you have mobile notifications turned off too?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I have my phone in do not disturb mode a lot now. Like I just kind of keep that. I'm like, I I can control looking down at it. Like I can control that. And I don't need it always just like alerting me or buzzing or vibrating. It would just stress me out.
I don't know when I did that at some point this year, but it's just been game changing. And in fact, I have all mobile notifications except for maybe like 4 apps on. That's it. I, I'm not in healthcare. Okay. I dropped out of nursing school. It's not life or death, the work that I am doing. Like it's all good. It's all good.
Me too. Is that an introvert thing? Because, like, me too. I can't do it.
I think it might be because it's like somebody wants to talk to me, like, no, I can't. I don't like, and it's like death by a thousand cuts when all those like notifications are going off, and then it just feels. Andrew, my other half is an Android user, and the central argument in our relationship is that he's Android and I'm iPhone. And if I had my notifications going off all the time, it would drain the battery and fuel his argument even more that like iPhone batteries. So just can't. I have to have notifications off.
Well, I also just don't need like I go on Instagram at certain times throughout the day, like, and I'm doing it for a reason. Like I'm not just going out there to kill time or distract me from other things. Like I'm going on there, I'm very intentional. I'm like, you know what? I have to go through my DMs. I just asked like a question on my story. I have I have 15 minutes. I'm gonna do my follow-up right now with people and just I want to make sure everybody sees like that feel seen, like that I ask a question and just like engage with them and like okay, like I'm gonna spend like okay 15 minutes. I'm gonna set a timer on my phone because I don't have control sometimes. And like I'm just gonna go through and see like if there's any reels that are inspiring me right now, like with the audios or anything of like or maybe like I just kind of want to go look right now at like Mexico. Like people in Mexico, like and like it's just gonna be like what I do for like 15 minutes. But like I'm not going on there to escape because like I think a lot of people just like escape to social media. I want to be the person they're
Mm,
escaping to.
that's a good goal for the new
Um,
year. I like
so I think
that.
like yeah, yeah, and like that could be sharing Los Angeles more. Like that's what I want to do like more like day in the life vlog type stuff. Like I like want to talk about like what a day in the life looks like like on a CEO day on like Mondays are my CEO
Yeah, on the couch. It's not very visually appealing, but
day. Like sometimes I'll get like micro needling done, or I don't have to leave the house for a couple days. But I think it's like that, and then also like I like to share like positive quotes, or like if it's the beginning of the month, I'm gonna like share something on my story about like what are you excited for this week or this month, like that those people that are escaping from something in their life that in that moment, that day, that week, that life right now, that they're coming to me and they're engaging with me in a positive manner. I can't, I can't, what's the word? I can't control like how they perceive like they might be annoyed by me for being so happy or having a good day, but at least like I can be a something to them that might have made them smile.
So, switching gears, Andrew, because we definitely want to talk about this. We couldn't shut up about it before we actually hit record. So, we want the Clever Crew to have all the deets. Earlier, you talked about how you have built your network of fellow agents, and not just agents in your local market, but agents likely globally at this point, right? Connecting everywhere, which I think is every person should be thinking outside of their specific city and area. You should be thinking about connecting at least nationally, if not globally. So we love that you're doing this. You're hosting your second social summit in LA.
And I just told you you'll be speaking,
there we go.
both
It's
of you.
done. Manifested.
Great. It's recorded. So tell us what inspired you to create the social summit and what's one thing that attendees will take away.
Yeah. Well, real fast. So back to your global thing. I encourage agents. I was in the South. Like I actually went to 3 Compass agents weddings this year in like a 3-month time period from agents from around the country that I had met and like really fostered friendships because of social media. Like, and like one of them, I was the only, like one of the only people from Compass there. Like the other one, I was a bridesman. Like the other one had like 40 of us, like 40 agents there together. So I, I encourage agents to really develop friendships, but then also when you're traveling, I love like I was in Paris and I walked into like a Barnes Realty real estate little firm and I was like, hey, I was like, I just want to introduce myself. And like they're all looking at me. I'm like, I'm an agent in Los Angeles with Compass. And they're like, oh, and like the sales manager of that office comes downstairs and she's like, bonjour. And I'm like, bonjour. I don't know anything else to say. But then we started talking. I'm like, how's the market here? And like it was very similar to Los Angeles right now. And next thing you know, like 3 of the agents in the office started following me. And like one of them was like, you're going to be my Los Angeles connection in the world. And it just like was me walking in for like literally 15 minutes.
Referral. Yeah. Duh. Amazing. So, Andrew, that's so funny. So, last year I started on every trip, no matter where I go, I make an appointment with someone from online to meet them in person. So, we went to Cabo and I met up with Outliance Real Estate and had an appointment with them, talked all about what it's like owning real estate as an American in Mexico. And then I shared them on my stories. And, now we have this relationship. Of course, I'm going to refer them to anyone that, is thinking about that. And I have a little bit of information on, any questions that preliminary questions they might have. But no matter where we go when we travel, like I am making sure I'm connecting with people in my industry in that space.
110%. Like I think that is something that agents don't understand. Like I'm all about unplugging on a trip. And now like part of this trip is a little bit of a tax write-off, right?
All
I'm
of
gonna
it,
have
all of
to-
it. That's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, so like this is the second one. I like I said, like I love fostering community and I've had this community of agents, not just Compass agents, the agents from like Keller Williams, Douglas Elliman, Sotheby's, at properties, all over. And they wanted to get together and like some of us like with Compass can get together there or Tom Ferry can get together if we're going to that or Mike Ferry like when they're like but like I wanted something that was like for everybody that was wanting to get together to talk social media talk just about like finding your core values like you know finding your voice and personal branding and I'm like there isn't really a space out there like this so like I don't really know I had the first one this past year in Phoenixville so in my hometown. Yeah. So I wanted to do something where I was like, I got to be back in my hometown and like I came out and I said like I 25 years ago couldn't be myself on this stage. And like so it kind of became like and like I mean tears are coming down when my mom was there. And then like every agent that spoke that day cried at some point, including Taya. She was like my keynote speaker. And it was just so great, like seeing like because like I had no budget. I'm like I had nothing, and like everybody was like, doesn't matter. Like you ask, we want to be a part of this. So then like everybody was asking, well, when's the next one? When's the next one? And I'm like, oh shit. I was like, okay, it's gonna be all right. And I was like, I needed to be closer, and I feel like it's easier to manage. But yeah, and then like I started asking like Giselle, I asked to and Matt Leonetti, like who I just like I have like the biggest like crush on Matt. I think he's so fun and like just like hearing his story. I can hear it over and over again of how he almost quit real estate and then like started making videos. And I think Giselle's such like a powerhouse of talking about confidence. And then like I was like, I don't want to just keep it on like con- content. And like then I asked like Holly Meyer Lucas to come speak. And she's gonna be talking about like your core values and like finding them and how you can show up. And then like I got somebody coming in from Canada that's like gonna do a LinkedIn workshop because I think like I'm really guilty of not utilizing LinkedIn and that's where the people with money are. Um, and the thing with control money. So that and then like to end that day is going to be a she's like a breathwork coach and it's gonna kind of like bring us. And I talked to her and she's like, I usually should be at the end of it because everybody's gonna be so hyped up and ready to go and like be energized. And she's like, but I want to kind of remind them of being mindful and like, breathe. Yeah. And so like, I think like after talking with her, I was like, okay, that's what I was like, send the contract over. I'll sign real life. But when I talk about imposter syndrome, that's what's going on right now here. I'm like, who am I to think that I can do this? Like every day, I mean, every night the past 2 weeks, I have panic attacks going to bed. Like I got to figure that out over the next few weeks. As soon as I like hit the pillow, I'll be like exhausted. And I'm like, oh my God, you're not going to sell out the hotel box. Like, who do you think you are that you can expect people to fly to Los Angeles? Or why do you think that you're the one that can do this? And like, then I just have to like, but then the next day I'll get a text to, like from an agent saying like, my flights are booked, like just the hotel, so excited. Like never been to LA before, like extended the trip into the weekend. And like, that's what I have to lead with now. It's like, this is bigger than me.
So, we're definitely going to put the link to the social summit taking place in February in LA in the show notes. So go ahead and click there. We're also going to drop Andrew's Instagram handle so you can also DM him or find the links on his Instagram as well and see what's up over there.
Andrew, are you ready to
I'm nervous.
impart the advice? No, you've no imposter syndrome here. The Clever Crew is curious and amazing and supportive, and we love you guys. Okay, so Andrew, it's kind of like Dear Abby style. So this is from Scared to Commit, but Ready to Grow. They're saying, this year, I really want to invest in a coach or a course to help me scale my business. I know this can take me to the next level, but I'm overwhelmed by how many there are to choose from. And I'm afraid of choosing the wrong one and wasting my time and my money. What are some things that I can do to make sure when I'm hiring a coach or choosing to buy a course that it's the right one for me?
I mean, I would see if like you could talk to other people that have been a part of that coach's program. That's the first thing that I would do, because that would be like that. I mean, and that's just one person's like, experience, but like that would that's how I like found my first coach. Was kind of like seeing and then I would start following them on Instagram and start seeing like, is this like, am I vibing with this person from what I see so far? And then like, I would just give it, like, I remember when I wanted to be coached by Jason Pantana, this was years ago. And I said, like, I want to join this, but I DM'd him. I said, hey, I want to be coached by you, but only you. And he wrote me back. He's like, okay. He's like, well, you want to, like, let's hop on a call. So like, I feel like, I do that all the time. Like if Aisha wants to talk to me, like, let's hop on a call. Let's see, I have one tomorrow morning. Like, let's see that we vibe before we start, taking next steps. Cause I know I'm not everybody's, cup of tea, and that's okay. So like, that's how I would do it. And then I remember Jason was like, okay, like, and then I actually got Taya to coach with him, because Jason was like, oh, I only coach LA people, like one person from each market. And I'm like, Taya's like my best friend. I'm like, she's not competition. I don't think things like that. I'm like, if anything, we could then like be inspired more. Then I'm like, that's end of discussion. I said, bring Taya over, like coach her too. Like, that's weird. But yeah, so I would say that's how I would do it.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for today. This has been such a joy. This hour like flew by. I'm excited to see Social Summit come to life in February. We'll be representing there in person, and you're just like, you're so vulnerable, you're so fierce, you're so yourself. And I love that we have the Philly connection from Phoenixville to LA.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. That's so fun. Well, thank you for having me. And, like, again, I love that you guys just give people a space to talk and to listen. And if an Asian can just take one thing that we talked about today and like make it a positive thing in their life, that's a win to me. That's a win for all of us, I think.
Thanks for joining us on Not Nice, Clever.
Remember to follow Not Nice, Clever wherever you listen to audio.
And if you haven't already, drop that 5-star review.
Share your takeaways. Tell us your story. We love to hear it.
Signing off, you're not so nice, but oh so clever besties that mean business.
See you soon.